Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, June 28th, and we are on the Americas account. Let's see, we have a challenger friend. Maybe we can get that done. Let's see if we can challenge a friend, or if anybody wanted to hop on right now. Otherwise, I would have to try that around, I guess playing around the weekend, which would be an annoying thing to do. Win 5 games any mode, which might be a way to do that too, and then play priest class cards. So I think we're kind of set. I'm still not really used to tavern brawls lasting as long as they do. It's a smart move though, frankly, the way they've expanded tavern brawls to last more than just 3 days. I guess we'll just play priest. So we'll talk about it later, but the Steam Summer Sale has been happening, and apparently it was more complicated to other people than it was to me. I kind of knew everybody was going to join Team Corgi, but Steam has had to come out and put out at least one update to change how the game works for the Grand Prix race, and people are removing games from their wish list, even though it seemed pretty obvious to me when reading the instructions that was not necessary, that the top to rank game was the game that you would be given. And it seems to include Cyberpunk, so because they've gifted Cyberpunk as a pre-purchase to people, so you know, Cyberpunk 2077, it's totally the top tier game out there, so that you would want to play day one. So I totally see the idea of having it be a game that you would want gifted to yourself, even more than like Nier Automata, although the pre-purchase on Cyberpunk is slightly questionable because I don't know particularly if the pre-purchase is a guarantee of a season pass or just the original game. Like Witcher 3 did have very worth it seemed like DLC, but it was still DLC, so it might become a case where the you get gifted Cyberpunk 2077, and then there's a $15-20 DLC that comes out within the 6-month launch window. But then there also is the risk that Cyberpunk 2077 might become an Epic Games Store exclusive, which would be very weird. If anything, it would be a good old Games Store exclusive, and because that's the same company, and that's not, I think, likely to happen. So I imagine it will stay multi-platform. But now you have that whole risk of games that are going to be super popular becoming Epic Store exclusives. So getting a pre-order of Cyberpunk is a smart move, so I put that at the top of the list. Although I've heard other publishers saying games that aren't out yet can't be gifted, Cyberpunk certainly seems like it can be, so I guess maybe it has to do with whether or not it has an actual button to pre-purchase or not, or maybe it's different for different companies. However, it seems like a lot of people didn't realize that that was what it was saying, and thus they started curating their wish list and removing a bunch of games off wish lists. Small indie devs want people to wishlist their game because it will, through I believe Steam's notification system, which is kind of questionable how much of Steam's notification system the like it's kind of questionable how much that matters, because I'm not sure how much people actually look at the notifications through Steam. But through that, when a game that has been wishlisted actually comes out, you'd get like a notification. I don't think there's any opt-in emails or anything you would get for when a game comes out. I don't get any emails from Steam other than thank you for your purchase. So there we go. Is there any way I could save this guy? She's here! I can kill that. I can heal that. I can do this. And in return. So yeah, they've had to change how the Grand Prix list races work, which has right now put Team Turtle, which is the team I'm on, in first place last time I looked. But it's not likely that Team Turtle is going to place. I don't think it placed at all in the last race, and so it's been randomized throughout the Switch. And frankly, looking how things are, Team Corgi probably is your best bet. Even though that would lower your chances of actually being gifted a game, and the odds don't seem like they're particularly high. But who can tell, really, without doing some major surveys. By the way, I'm no longer going to be putting the intro chat message, so I'm asking people to chat on my behalf as the first chat message, in a way that way if somebody other than the content creator actually decides to start talking on the chat message, maybe then that would introduce or entice YouTube to recommend my videos more often. Job's done. So yeah, I'm trying that. Yeah, so it's been pretty random. I found out that you have to play a game for 30 minutes, and the achievements that you've unlocked, even if you got those achievements years before today, will count towards a number of points that you can redeem. But the amount of points you can redeem seems to be moderately limited, in my case, to like 100 points even, although there have been some instances where it was like a couple thousand points. And so the whole system definitely seems like it's going around in circles and doing different things every time. Play all these cards since I'm probably gonna lose. So yeah, the last time I redeemed points, I just have to load up a Lego game and have it run, and it will say you've got 10,000 points for all the achievements, because I've 100%ed all the achievements on Lego games. And then it says you can only, last time I clicked it says you can only redeem 100, and the only way you could really increase capacity is to play the games they want you to play, or to buy more games and spend more money. And frankly, even if you bought more games, I don't think it's increasing your capacity by much.
You asked for it.
The light shall bring victory.
Unless there was some like complete miscommunication, and it seems like that's the name of the game here, is that there's really a rather large amount of miscommunication going on this. But yeah, unless there's a miscommunication completely, and you were supposed to buy some small amount of something every day, which
I'll never
like
tell.
that would be a hard thing, a hard sell, frankly. Like, I wouldn't want to spend every single day of a Steam sale buying one thing or another thing. I could certainly buy trading cards right now and off the market, and that would be just a matter of pennies, but even in that, I'm not sure if that would count. And I don't think that's what they're asking you to do to increase your capacity. I think they're asking you to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to increase your capacity. So, almost certainly this whole Grand Prix system is working through a... it's probably working through a concept where the whales, people who are spending thousands of dollars, although it'd be kind of hard to even spend thousands of dollars on Steam, but I guess maybe there's a few ways you could do it. They are probably massively controlling the outcomes of the Grand Prix races, and if you are spending thousands of dollars on a games on Steam, then you probably aren't going to be very well suited or benefited by... I played that out of order. I should have played the silence card first, but I didn't see the secret. Yeah, it wouldn't really give you much to receive a free game. Now, had Steam said a free game and all the DLC, if you had put like Train Simulator as your top rated game and you were going to get all the DLC from that, that potentially would have been something of interest. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll cover more of the Steam sale, I guess, later. Let's go through the news. Otherwise, there's kind of not a lot to do today other than just get daily quests and challenge a friend on the Americas account, I suppose. Darn it. Let's see. Can we do this? And then do this. Then end the turn. Gamer Sutra has an article here. My friend Pedro has sold 250,000 copies in 1 week. So, as that game was pretty well hyped, I don't even have this open. I'm just going to talk about the title. As it was a pretty well hyped game, I can totally see it getting a lot of sales in the first week, but 250,000 is only 50,000 short of 300,000, which is an initial application of it being a pretty successful indie game to start off with. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, this. This and this, it could have healed, and copy that. There we go. Yeah, I guess since this is a Friday and I doubt too many people are going to come on, we should probably just burn through the news and do our standard. Do the thing I say every stream, which is just try to get through things as fast as possible And in all fairness, in every stream, there's usually a point at the end nowadays where we are, where I am working my way through trying to, what am I trying to say, working my way through all the news, because there's just so much news to talk about. It is also worth mentioning, I started playing Zombie. I'm not particularly sure. Like, I made the first recording and had to take a bathroom break in between the first recording, and I was only going to be going about 30 minutes anyways, and ended up going about 45. These shorter episode lengths are really not realistic. There's no great point where it makes sense. Let's go ahead and just play this. Let's see. Alright. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure how big Zombie as a game is. It seems to me like, because it was a launch title for the Wii U and it was kind of targeted to younger kids. I'm playing on easy, maybe that's part of the problem, but I've yet to take any damage or get hit by any zombies at all. The pulling up the Wii U tablet to scan things makes a lot less sense when you're playing it on PC and you're just hitting left bump to pull up the tablet, and that seems like it is going to be an annoying and possibly very repetitive gameplay mechanic in the game.
For Doomhammer.
The fact that the whole game does have like a survival mode that seems like you can just go on forever, or potentially go from the beginning of the end to the end of the game on without dying once, because survival mode is a one life mode, also kind of pushes me to the thought that that's kind of how it's intended to be played. This, in a weird way, Zombie might be a 3D rogue-like, not rogue, a light style game, because in survival mode, if you die, you probably don't level up anything. Even in the regular mode, if you die, then your body becomes a zombie and you have to do effectively a corpse run towards the zombie that is holding all of your items. Like, immediately they introduce a bug out bag, and then like bug out bags are already jargon, as it were, but then they add more jargon on top of it and call it a bob. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody refer to a bug out bag as a bob, so maybe that's something that does happen, maybe it isn't.
I don't have enough mana.
Let's see.
I just want some peace and quiet.
Right away.
But in the first 45 minutes of playing the game, I've simply gotten a cricket bat and killed one zombie who was trapped in the location, and killed one female zombie who was in a room, and she certainly took 3 hits to kill, compared to the person who was trapped, who took only 1 hit to kill.
Right away.
So I am basically nowhere in the game, obviously already, but I did start playing one more game. The mobile game that I'm still obsessed with, Destiny Child, has moved very quickly from a special raid event to a couple of other events that have happened over the past couple of months, to back to a new special raid event. I don't know if this is in part because it is the global version that I'm playing and they are trying to catch up and come closer to day and date of the releases and the
Right away.
updates of the Japanese and Korean version, or if this is just the way they do things, and that they're going to constantly have these special events. Because this special event is going on, there's a level of needing, or if you want to actually participate, wanting to have have the game always running, which causes some issues of just how much time I'm spending having the game run, and even though the game is mostly automated, there's enough
Right away.
there that requires you to put some attention to it every 30 minutes or so. So what I'm hoping to do is just speed through Zombie, have it uploaded to Steam. Yeah, I forgot the word uploaded, can't believe that. Yeah, upload Zombie to Steam after it's completely been played, and then I need to start scheduling things. Wouldn't hurt to start scheduling things now, particularly because there are certainly concerns along the lines of October month. With Zombie, I am gonna have 4 or 5 shows airing in October, but November may very well just drop back down to a standard 2. What is currently standard to 2 shows. Well, I could play ranked, and I could try to get higher in ranked. We're at rank 14 right now. Or I could play the solo player adventure. And I guess right now with the daily quests, the solo player adventure might make more sense.
Such beautiful creatures. We must unleash them.
So what do I think would win?
What you call a criminal element.
Guess we'll try Mage. Alright, restore the cost of a random card. Reduce the cost of a random card in your hand. Buy 2. Freeze the shapeshifter? What does that say? I'm gonna take this one, and then let's see what do we want to do. If we're gonna reduce costs, what would I need to reduce cost with? Bunch of secrets and spell damage, or casting spells that deal damage and are elementals. Alright, let's try this. There might be... You can't build your own deck. Actually, let's come back here. Let's try anomaly mode, too. Apparently you can't. I've locked in. Darn it.
Now this little one shows some potential.
It kind of needs a pop-up there to tell you, hey, you're gonna lock in. Because I really would have preferred to play anomaly mode and see if the anomalies change anything. Oh well, we're gonna play this, I guess, all the way through, and that'll take a little bit of time. Unless we die. First game we have to look at on Steam is called Kamiko. It looks like it is a top-down adventure game. There's some anime girls that might be drawing my attention a little bit more here. This looks like it might be inspired by Legend of Zelda. I am a sucker for Legend of Zelda clones. One of the few messages I saw on the Steam Summer Sale, which I put out the recorded version of that, so the video might be slightly better. You're in this weird position on Steam where you kind of have to upload either private or unlisted, or just put it out there. Your pure recordings, even if you streamed, because the streams are always going to be lesser quality, and there's nowhere else where you have a place where you can have a backup of your video. In a weird way, it would be nice if I could just replace the video with the uploaded version, but there's a lot of shenanigans you could pull doing that too. But I would definitely prefer to have that option, which everybody else, which the big streamers have, big companies do. That's the whole thing with the UMG putting remastered versions of their music videos up, because those will probably be that secret in-place replacement. Let's see. To all enemy minions.
Can I light your fire?
There we go. So this game, Kamiko, like, I could see calling it maybe a top-down twin-stick shooter, just boring, but it has a different art palette, a different focus. It's more Zelda fantasy type game. So I'm willing to give this one a follow because I like the way it looks. $4.99, English, Chinese, and Japanese. This might be a cheap Chinese game, but at best, from the way it looks, I'd say it might be a medium Chinese game at worst. So let's put that on the follow list. Let's see. Next secret you play. Free. Then that. And then +4 attack when damaged.
Stand down!
Playing all these cards, didn't need to play any of them. Alright, at the start of your game, draw 2 cards. At the start of your game, equip a random weapon, give it +1/+1. Your minions have rush. Nice, I'll take minions have rush. And then random minion equal to the cost of your hand size. Interesting. Or costs 2 less for each secret you've played. You control secret +2/+2. I'm gonna take some of them. Here we go. Next we have a game on Steam called The Legends of Class 1. This looks like this is probably a Chinese RPG Maker game. It looks
Interested in trying
just
something
a
new?
little lacking in polish. You have a kind of interesting thumbnail here. English is not supported, it's 82% discounted, and yes, you can see it's Chinese only. So yeah, with English not being supported, there's really nothing else to say or do about it. It is what it is. Thanks. Hold on to that card. We're still in the middle of the summer sale, so there's not likely going to be a lot of announcements or releases. I suppose the real question is, when do we start actually seeing releases? Because that certainly could be a while. And I don't know how to really play this because I don't know how to build up my hand. What's this one's ability? Swap a random card in each player's hand. She did. She took my card. Right. So anytime I reduce the cost of any card, there's a chance that it's gonna end up in my opponent's hand. Next we have a troll game here. Apparently there's this meme talking about a guy called Kyle, where he's punching through walls. So there's Kyle Simulator, which is just an asset flip physics example with a character. I don't know anything about this meme. Maybe I'm getting finally a little too old to follow memes. This is 10% off at 89 cents. English only. No reason why you'd want to actually spend money or give money to somebody who's just making a meme joke game. This clearly falls under the same category of a low effort game and something that would not be entertaining past possibly 5 minutes of gameplay. Let's see. Yeah. Next we have a game over here called Shogun's Empire Hex Commander, which is a hex grid war simulator of Shogun era type conflicts, I guess. It doesn't look badly polished. It's got a nice little trailer here. It's something I think I could potentially put on the fall list. Although, in all fairness, war simulators, even if they are not your standard World War I or World War II or ancient like Roman war simulators, don't interest me a lot, so I could see putting this on the fall list and still not putting it on the wish list. This is discounted to $8.49 and it has full English audio and a bunch of other language support. I'll put it on the fall list. I'll be generous.
Prove your worth, Cur.
Science overwhelmed.
I think that's all I needed. And yeah, we're burning through our victories pretty quickly, which is not super surprising. I'm gonna take Sorcerer's Apprentices because I think, frankly, you're always gonna need Sorcerer's Apprentices when playing Mage. Next, we have a game on Steam called Triceria, which is, this image is rather dark. That's not just your screen. Speaking of weirdness, Zombie is extremely weird. It, through the Windows volume control, will mute itself when you are alt-tabbed out of the game. So inherently you cannot alt-tab out of the game, adjust the volume the way you want, and then an alt-tab back in. You have to go through the game itself and adjust the volume in increments of 5%, which reduces the precision quite a bit compared to what you could have done outside of the game. Maybe with my hotkey trick I could get it differently, but at the moment I'm just using the in-game app, and I've just never seen that before. It's a weird way to implement a feature like that, and it removes half of the possible options, because very often in games I will run into cases where turning the game down to 10% outside of the game and then turning the volume down to 50% or even less inside the game is also necessary, because they can be particularly loud sometimes. Can play this. Do I want to play this?
Stand down.
No, I'm gonna wait. But to get back to Triceria, I don't know if this is maybe a nighttime thing or if the videos just can't record, because when you look at these screenshots, it's green and bright and interesting. So maybe this is because you're in a cave, but are you gonna spend half of your time in the cave? Yeah. This is an early access game that wants $11.99 discounted. It's English only, supposedly full audio English. It's gonna be extremely generous, but I'm gonna put this on the follow list. Frankly, I don't think it really deserves it, and I think we'll see reviews for it very quickly that are bad. That being said, perhaps in a weird way, I am looking for excuses to have more. How come this guy? Oh, I guess he can't attack even though he has rush.
Stand down! Target!
Yeah. Since I'm probably never gonna need to do a wish list cleanup ever again, as long as the wish list maintains itself, having a few bad games on the follow list is okay, but I'm also not actively going to try to have bad games on the follow list. More, it is a case that on a day-to-day basis, as we're having less and less to do in Hearthstone, we're using it for that reason. Alright, so this...
Starlight.
Okay. This minion is healed.
Starlight.
What happened? Why did that just occur? Let's kill this.
If I must.
Let's kill that, because that clearly isn't the right card that I want. And in the turn.
All patched up.
Let's see.
How many things?
Next we have a game on Steam called Mission B, which might be a stand in one place and shoot VR game, or it's just a random assortment of things. Yeah, it's from a company called Fox 3D Entertainment, which I assume had no affiliation of actually Fox. The TV series. Yeah, it seems like you're standing in one place and then just shooting things, or you're playing Brick Breaker. There might be an idea of a game here, certainly, but in general, this looks terrible. It's early access, it requires VR, it's $9.99, English only, yeah. I don't see any reason to put this on the follow list. Even the name is low effort.
Become a priest, they said. Healing is fun, they said.
Alright.
Starlight.
I won there, but I burnt a lot of cards to do it. And that's all I needed to do with the daily quest, so now it's just a matter
It reaps and sows havoc.
So if we take this weapon, or we could take this, I think this weapon early on probably is a good weapon to use. Let's see. Do we want a quest? Probably not. Do we want spell damage? I'm gonna take the elemental spell damage.
You aren't taking a break, are you? There's work to be done.
Let's see what we can change here. Game of Sutra has an article here. Sledgehammer co-founder Glenn Schofield, or Schofield, will lead PUBG's corporation's PUBG Corp's new studio. Now, the new studio is called Striking Distance. He was the co-founder of the Call of Duty developer Sledgehammer Games, which Call of Duty is now, I think, owned by Activision or EA. Let's see here, he worked on 3 games in the popular franchise, and the vice president and general manager of the Dead Space developer Visceral Games. So the big hope here would be that he's gonna do a spiritual successor to Dead Space, but who's to see if that really happens? And I don't even know if PUBG Corporation has enough money for that. He left Sledgehammer and the parent company Activision, so it was Activision, and will now last year. So this is a standard CEO. I left a job, or was asked to leave a job, and then a year later, after I took a year-long vacation, I come back and I get another job. On the corporate level, cronyism and it is the name of the game, but it is worth mentioning always that yes, this is another example of somebody who already ran a company, and whether it was his fault or another, managed to run that company, Visceral Games in particular, into the ground. So I think we want to do recruit a veteran, and then choose an enemy. And Malygos is, I think, what we'll do with that. And
oh, you can't go wrong with that one. They're irregular.
Your deck has only even cards. There's no way that's gonna happen. Let's take a little awkward show. I could look at 4 spells in Adventure and choose what to remove, or I could remove all friendly minions from play. I don't want to do that, so we'd have to think about what spells do I have. Summon 2 random 2-cost minions and improved by damage. That's fine. Secret, secret, secret. Deal 5 damage. Yeah, I don't think any of my spells are bad, so I don't see a real reason to do that.
Safe travels.
Yeah, nobody's getting promoted internally at PUBG. Instead, they're bringing in somebody else to run a new company. Someone who is moderately proven in success, but also kind of proven in failure. Like, I don't know how much Visceral Games had as far as power to try and break away from Activision, or put their foot down on Activision's shenanigans that ruined Dead Space 3. But I would say, in particular, if you're just gonna guess, I would assume that he is, as a leader, pretty weak. Because he did allow Activision to ruin Dead Space 3, and he didn't fall on his sword and say, if you put in microtransactions, you're gonna ruin Dead Space 3, I'm not gonna have it. I'm gonna put in my resignation otherwise. Like, he did not threaten to quit. He did not actually quit when the Dead Space 3 microtransactions got added. So that was, and that inherently was bad for Visceral, which is, if Visceral even exists anymore, it's certainly in no way in the shape that it should be in. And it was bad for the employees under him. So, yeah.
Another night on the prowl.
While one could be optimistic and hope for a spiritual successor to Dead Space, not that wouldn't be called Dead Space, from the PUBG Corporation, in reality, PUBG doesn't strike me as a game that actually has improved enough to even start to think about doing something like that. Like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is still not a finished, final, polished product by any means, and it's falling further and further behind compared to Fortnite, at least last time I checked, which is, it's been a long time since I've heard anything said about PUBG. If I could get spell damage plus 5 easy and play this and this, then do this, this would be interesting, and that would be interesting, certainly. Next we have a game on Steam called Fort Boyard, which looks like it's some kind of crossword puzzle game in an arena for no reason. It's like, I have no idea what this is. Let's see. 10 activities. It contains action and party games and endurance. It seems to be a collection of kind of asset flip backgrounds and party games. This is weird, to say the least. And it doesn't seem like they even have a video, so I suspect the game runs terribly. $22.49. And does that say Microsoft?
Maximum chaos.
No, Microids. What else have Microids published? Toki, Flashback. Some old games, but not a lot. I guess I just want to follow this to see where it goes. Again, this is an example of me potentially putting something on the follow list just because I'm being ridiculous, instead of putting something on the follow list because there's a legitimately good reason to do it.
Stand down.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Zoro Moro, which looks like a asset flip first-person shooter garbage game. Let's see. Nothing here looks polished. Nothing here looks like it's anything whatsoever worth playing. It's discounted to 89 cents, English only. This is an easy choice to ignore. This part.
Mayhem, arson.
I want to get this down. I want to play this and this, and then do this and this.
Stand down.
In return.
Prove your worth, cur.
Everyone, get in here!
I am free! Magic neutralized.
Alright. So 5 plus that plus that.
Surrender imminent.
Jade Serpent
There we go. Next, we have a game on Steam called Pro Cycling Manager 2019. I don't know if this is really a cycling sim game. Yeah, I guess it isn't. So it's a management game. So I have no interest whatsoever of being a manager of a cyclist. $31.99 discounted. Almost certainly this is a game designed to be confused with other games of similar ilk, games that are built around cycling simulators.
Is the Earth Mother listening?
This. Deal 8 damage to a minion.
You make choices. I do not.
Go ahead and kill that. Kill that. Go ahead and kill that. And in the turn.
I must safeguard the land.
2 random 8 cost minions. So if I can keep one of these. Darn it. That didn't work.
Starlight.
Join me.
That.
Starlight.
Kill that, I guess. Yeah, so Pro Cycling Manager isn't going to make it to the follow list. This is probably a little inside baseball, but Gamma Sutra has an article. Animoca Brands acquires the token mining engine maker Gamma. So I haven't heard of Gamma, and I don't know how much of this even has anything to do with video games, other than maybe there's some token Bitcoin mining game out there, or a game that Bitcoin mines and people didn't know what Bitcoin mined.
Can I light your fire?
Right, how do we want to handle this otherwise?
Cooking time.
Just gonna end the turn there. I don't know anything about Bitcoins, but I did randomly hear that something big is supposed to happen to Bitcoins, where it's going to be pretty soon even harder to mine them, which very well might be a good excuse to get around to getting into all of that, if you were going to get into it right now. But I mean, probably not a smart move, if I was to guess. Alright, so this guy's not the best character to attack with right now, so let's see if maybe he's got a final tier character.
Cooking time.
But I need to kill something with this weapon before I lose. A stealth taunt 5/5 might not be a bad on the kill. Like, yeah, this is probably our best bet. So, kill that, and then immediately that comes over to your side and has rush. And we could do this. Attacks there. And 5 damage randomly split amongst all enemies. Play that ability for no reason.
Toasty.
There we go. So next time we use the weapon in the next game, we'll summon two characters. Gamatsu has an article here. NG is coming to the West for the PS4, Switch, Vita, and PC in October. This is the second entry in the Experience's Spirit Hunter series. I've never heard of this, and I don't know what the Spirit Hunter series. I guess the first game was a game called Deathmark, and I guess maybe I recall a game called Deathmark. Sounds like it is going to be a kind of indie horror adventure game, which wouldn't surprise me a lot. There's no need to. This.
Feeble mind.
This. Kill that. Kill that. Now, do I want to take 3 damage when I have 8, or do I want to do 2 damage? I guess I'll do 2 damage. So yeah, when NG, if it actually lives on Steam, I'll take a look at it.
One falls, 2 shall sprout.
There you go. Alright. So the way this is really gonna break down is either I'm gonna win or it's gonna hit this or this. If it hits this, it kills this. If it hits this, it kills this, but it gives them 2 2s. So 1/3 chance of winning. That worked, I guess, pretty well. Again, just trying to wait to see if maybe we find somebody online. Otherwise, 2 damage to all other characters, 2 damage to all other characters. Let's see. I think we need this guy. If I get 2 of these, that could be very useful. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Disgaea 4 Complete Plus arrives on the PS4 and Switch this October. So, the Disgaea JRPG series getting a complete version for those consoles. I assume there's a PC way to get the complete game, but maybe not as a bundle. Do I really need this? No, I don't think so. I don't think I want that either. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Stigfanair, which does not seem like it's English, and from the looks of it, it looks like it is just a asset flip garbage game. It's like, I have no clue what they're even trying to sell here, or pretend like what they are. It's early access, discounted to $4.19, English and Russian. It's probably a low-effort Russian game from that description. Let's see. Let's play this and see if we can reduce things. In the turn. Yeah. It would be speculation, and just blatant speculation at this part, but I think it's pretty much admitted that the United States has been stepping up cyber attacks against Russia and other countries, maybe all other countries, maybe most other countries, and let's be honest, the same has probably been done.
Misforesee things as well.
So I would not be surprised, although this is again blatant speculation, if in some weird way Russia is trying to slightly retaliate. The government of Russia is giving money to troll farms, and the troll farms are spending that money to make low effort troll Steam games in some small part as part of a much larger operation. That's a weird thought, certainly, but it is about the only thing I can guess would explain why there's been this kind of rather sudden increase in low effort Russian troll games. When for months and months and months there really hasn't been anything like that. We've been seeing Chinese games that are just like low effort games, but not particularly troll games. Games that would only sell to somebody who thinks, oh, this is a troll game, and that wouldn't it be funny if I bought it because of that reason. Still trying to figure out how to do this, so let's do this, I guess. And then do this.
Can I light your fire?
Okay. Probably
Cooking time.
need to make some room. But if we want to talk troll games, then we have Penn and Teller's VR, frankly unfair, unkind, unnecessary, and underhanded. Gearbox did put out 2 videos on their YouTube channel of unedited videos, and not unedited videos, but ad pitches that were not allowed, and one of them was the ad pitch where they were forcefully vaccinating people against their will, basically suggesting that they were actually doing medical assault. So they didn't leave that on the cutting room floor, and I had already heard from Penn Jillette's podcast that was going to happen. In his most recent podcast I listened to, he was talking about the game a little bit, but not a lot, frankly. He was probably doing his best to promote his own product, but that is about it. For those not in the know, this is a collection of VR tricks and demos where you integrate either real-world things, like this sorting eggs one. You're supposed to put a real egg under their hands so that they smash it and make fun of them, and if you're not going to integrate the the magic trick aspect to trick your friends while they're playing with your new VR headset, then it probably is just some boring VR elements. And yeah, probably not a lot here. It does have Desert Bus for free in the VR version of that. It's $19.99. Being that said, I think there's also a case to make that I think Desert Bus VR is a separate application on Steam for free too, and this is labeled as local multiplayer, so they're really working around the idea of it's not much of a game unless you're showing your friends your VR headset and making fun of them or teasing them. I don't even know what the right move, right phrase would be. This is rush, but I can't rush, can I? So we'll hit that. Make some room there. And I want that gone. So
not push me.
This here and here.
Toasty.
So at $19.99 with no discounts, it supports English only, full audio English, which I believe that is true. Pin has changed a lot in the past few years, so he does not really look like what he used to look like at all, and these VR representations aren't particularly great. Teller is pretty old, and in fact they had to recently cancel a performance which they've really never done before because he was in so much pain from hurting himself from walking on cobblestone pavements in Italy of his vacation. They're both getting rather old. So yeah. And I'm not sure, Penn and Teller's heyday wasn't a long time ago, on like Saturday Night Live a decade ago.
Maximum chaos.
Let's see. Spell damage +2.
Do not push me. Toasty.
I guess I just want this to get down to where it is. But yeah, I just won. But so I didn't get to use my weapon in that. I'll put this Penn and Teller on the fall list. Again, I'm almost certainly never gonna buy. I'm almost certainly never gonna buy a VR headset, so I probably would never actually use it. Let's see. Spells cost health instead of mana. Let's see. Start of your game, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. Or battle cries trigger twice. I think battle cries triggering twice are way better as an idea. Mechs or spells. I'll take this one.
Are you skulking about the inns and public houses now?
In all honesty though, if I was to get a VR headset, unless the Penn and Teller game was particularly discounted, I still probably wouldn't get it. It's not much of a game. And their previous games weren't much of a game either. If Desert Bus is the most memorable one, and it's memorable for being bad, the rest of what was on that original release the Desert Bus was on.
Take your time. Enjoy the
So
atmosphere.
do I have an enemy here that I'd really like to play? If your deck is empty, summon 6/6/6 Greasefire Elementals. Inspire, spell damage 1.
Mayhem? Oh,
I'll take an Inspire. Remove all friendly minions. No, I wouldn't want to do that. Discover legendary. Reduce the cost of one spell by 3 for this run. Alright, let's try that. So. Now, do I want to potentially get rid of a spell? No, I think we're good.
You have fun with all that mayhem and chaos you're causing.
Next, we have an article here from Komatsu. The Mighty Switch Force collection has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This might be a case where, in particular, I don't, I buy this and get some redundancy over other things, but maybe not, because it says it includes Mighty Switch Force 1, Hyperdrive Edition, 2, and Academy, but it doesn't seem like it has the one game that I have of the Mighty Switch Force series, which is Mighty Switch Force Hose It Down, where you're playing as firemen instead of standard space police characters, and it was the weird spin-off game. So if that's not included, which is weird, then I can very easily buy this bundle to get the rest of the games. And I did want to play the other games, certainly, but it seems weird that Hose It Down is not in the collection. If you're going to just have a Mighty Switch Force collection, you would think you'd have all the games. Mighty Switch Force is a cheesy platformer for the most part. It's got a niche fan base, and it's got some different blonde sisters. Yeah, we can show off that you're trying to save. It doesn't get too much into cheesecake though. It's just kind of a thing that is there if you want it. Speaking of what I want, I definitely want this weapon. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll put that on, if I can find it, on Steam when it comes out. I'll put that on the wish list. I quite enjoyed my Switch Force Hose It Down, probably for the most part because it's a fireman game, and I'm always kind of wanting to find a good fireman game, although it really is more of a puzzle game than anything else. What is this one doing? You can't damage yourself. Interesting. So
Time to turn up the heat.
Alright. Next we have a game on Steam called Fuji, which seems like it's a VR game where you're rubbing flowers, and by rubbing flowers you're collecting some kind of energy. Seems very naturalistic and magical. There might be a game here as a VR game, as much as any other VR game has existed, that none of them are that interesting. It seems like it's probably more music based. $14.99 requires VR, a bunch of language support. I'll put this on the follow list. Fuji. I want to also say that yes, I've recognized I've started going quiet a lot more and saying no, I'm a lot more. I must not be that awake today, but in the past few streams in particular, I've definitely felt it, where there's this instance of I'll get focused on something and stop talking. So I'm aware of it. Can I correct it? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm aware of it. Maybe that's just my new style and the way of giving my voice a small break, or maybe just a way of taking a breath. Inherently, I've talked about this a couple times before. What I do is the equivalent of 3 or 4 other people's what 3 or 4 other people would do if they were running a podcast or something, where because what I'm doing is talking non-stop, whereas anybody else on the podcast would have 2 or 3 other people that they could ask a question for them and ask them to talk for at least a few minutes to rest their voice or drink some water.
Jade Serpent guide you.
I have been listening to a couple of Sirius XM radio stations, and not stations but shows through what I can only assume are not authorized YouTube uploads of them. And what's kind of surprising about that is, even though there's 2 or 3 people on the mic at any time, they all seem to at points just call a break and take a break, and they've integrated it as a thing, or they'll just say, I'm going to the bathroom, which is weird.
Chaos.
There you go. See, there's a great example. I got so focused on playing Hearthstone. I'd really like to win here, though. In all fairness, like, I really would like to win this run and not have to deal with not have to deal with trying to win again, which has happened several other times. Alright, what was that? Friendly minion to your hand. One damage or 2 damage to all other characters. That'll work. Getting all kinds of spare parts from that. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Christmas Tina, which I suspect is a Chinese visual novel. It does seem like it has some polish here, but there's a lot of text going on, and the art style just looks a little bit different. Plus, I don't know where you would get Christmas or Tina from a Japanese developer.
Do you have any idea how long it takes to
Not that
polish this?
Chinese people celebrate Christmas outwardly at all, but It does kind of have that feeling of something that. Let's see. Play this.
Something else.
This.
Not the boss of me.
This. Stealth until next turn.
Not me.
Need to play. Is this one whenever a minion takes damage, discard a random card? That's not a good card to steal either. So yeah, Christmas Tina. After the images are loading. I don't know, it looks really nicely animated. Maybe this is a Korean game. English language not supported, coming soon, single player. It's Japanese, full Japanese, and Chinese, full Chinese. So, I don't know, maybe it's a collaboration? That might explain a little bit on why it feels like it's more of a Chinese game than a Japanese game. But odd it's not supporting English, and if we look at this other developers' games, they seem to be Chinese centric in some ways. But they don't look like they're bad, so if you can speak those languages, maybe there is something there for you. This I want to play. This I want to do. This I want to do. Oh man, if I could get this on the field now, that's my next goal. I don't think I can do that. Because now I have this taunt. This. And in the journey.
Flesh fails.
Tech Raptor has an article here. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night review. Ego to please. Ego being the first name or last name of the developer of the game. This is like the first review, by the way, from Tech Raptor to get a score since E3. They gave it an 8.0 great. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a comfortable return to the Koji Igarashi, I guess Ego for short. It doesn't push any boundaries, but it's fluid, well-crafted, labor of love with tons of content and satisfying core gameplay loop. Pros are classic Metroidvania from Iga, satisfying exploration, varied stylish combat, massive amount of content. Cons are glitchy and buggy in place, visuals inferior to Symphony of the Night, and it's uninspired in some places. The other complaint I have heard oh man, they destroyed my guy, didn't they? They ruined my gar. Let's see. One of the things that I've seen a complaint about is the fact that there is this for lack of a better term, there's an integration of the Kickstarter backers' own content and own elements in the game, and it makes for a kind of bad experience. Stealth until the end, or return a friendly minion. I think I'm good. So yeah, there's a part where you're fighting somebody's cat and somebody's dog in Bloodstained, and Bloodstained's story is kind of ridiculous. Some of that certainly isn't the fulfillment of Kickstarter backers, but I don't know if it really hurts the game too much. This is another example of a game that, had I been better funded, I would have played on day one, and I think your experiences probably would be better if that was the case. I guess continuously reduce the cost of things. Alright, let's see. 2 damage, 4 damage. So, if I was to play this,
Science over one. Feeble.
this, and then do this, that'll give me 2 spells. And draw a couple of cards.
Job's done.
Although this is probably the worst time to draw cards. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Minecraft Toy Story skins are now available at the Minecraft Marketplace, which means you'd be going through at least the Minecraft Bedrock launcher, I would assume, not Minecraft Java. I don't think you can get anything from the Marketplace for the Java edition. Clearly this is a tie-in. The question, I guess, is how much is this? Are these all free skins, or do they cost money? Yeah, they're for the price of 1,340 Microsoft coins, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's $1 to $10. It could kind of be anything and everything in between.
This was not in my contract.
Kill that. Give him stealth, I guess. And then in the turn. This is taking forever to learn. These later games are gonna just take forever, I guess. Let's see. Spell damage plus 5, deal 8 damage to a minion. Okay. Kind of need to heal. Be nice if I could. Komatsu has an article here. Sony Pictures and Hivemound announced a live-action Final Fantasy XIV TV series. Original story set in the world of Orezia, or however you pronounce that. This is weird, certainly, again, that Sony Pictures, the movie division of Sony, is working with Square Enix to make a TV series when Sony Pictures could instead be working with, I guess, maybe some of their own IP. Does Sony even own anything that they've published? I guess not, so I guess it would make sense somewhat because of that reason. Overall, it's still a ridiculous thought to do or have. Just bring this back. Bring this back and summon the Goblin Bomb. What you? I seriously doubt that there's many people that want to watch a live action version of Final Fantasy XIV. I don't think people are super interested in Final Fantasy XIV in general, but in particular,
Knowledge is power.
a live action version makes very little sense. I think I might as well play this, but I'll wait. This is really slow. If you were going to make a version of Final Fantasy that people would want to see, I would assume it would be like Final Fantasy 13 and in an animated format, and I think that kind of has already happened. So I don't know if there's anything more you can do with that, because it's kind of already been done. I think that was the right move. This is gonna be funny if I somehow lose. So here's Gamasutra's take on things. Dev hit by the Steam promo confusion as games are pulled from wishlists. A number of developers are seeing their games pulled from Steam wishlists due to the confusion confusing summer sale promotion. And inherently, the fact that there is confusion does show that this summer sale was not thought through at all. Because there were clearly better ways to explain these type of things. The co-founder of the Snipper Clips developer SB Games says, I guess the phrase most wished for games was used, and people thought that meant they're giving away games that everybody in general are most wishing for, which I guess would explain Cyberpunk somewhat. Summon a 0/0 minion is what this would be. I'm gonna lose.
My calculations are flawless. Trivial.
Job's done.
Wow. Okay, I've lost. I've lost. A lot of time invested in this. The article goes on, because of the warning, some players seem to think the promotion could result in them being gifted any title from their wishlist, resulting in them deleting cheaper games to boost their odds of winning a more expensive AAA release. In fact, as shown by Steam's own tweets, players will only ever be gifted one of their top-ranked wishlist games, which means they simply need to reorder their wishlist rather than delete games entirely. Now, on the other hand, this might be a case, if I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate here, it might be a case where people have been forced to go to their wishlist, and they've looked at their wishlist and seen that there's a bunch of games they're no longer interested in. Although the odds of that being the case seem unlikely. Unless this could kill everybody here. Which it can't. I'm gonna lose. It goes on. It's a frustrating situation that yesterday resulted in SFB Games witnessing more people deleting their titles from their wish list and purchasing them, which, as they note, is something that has never happened in a sale before. It's not just the Snipper Clips maker that's been infected. Lots of people have been, apparently. So yeah, the Steam Summer Sale has been a confusing mess, and unfortunately my run ends here.
What's wrong? Too hard for you?
Yep, that's exactly what's the problem. I should have done anomaly mode, because then that would have added a twist at least to it. So, alright. Well, at the very least we can have 2 recordings, and I over the weekend I'm gonna have to either challenge a friend, or I could log into my secondary account and challenge myself if nobody logs into the America's account. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a long time and actually break up the recording right now. This is a fine point to end this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live, of course. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.
Oh, it's good to see you again.
Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, June 28th. I guess we're at the end of the month, so I could be playing ranked. That being said, I'm going to re-roll this and hope we can get a watch and learn. Nope, nobody's playing on the Americas account. We're on the European account now. We have a challenge a friend already. It seems like this weekend might be a little bit busy with extra work from Hearthstone. Hearthstone does seem to have a tendency to waste more of my time than I'd like it to. So otherwise, on the European accounts, we just need to play a Rogue or Warrior victory. Let's see, Tempo Rogue, ranked, might as well play. Let's go. And let's just start covering the news pretty quickly, because there's a good chance that if this only takes a few games, or possibly one game, we'll be at the Asian account, and then there will be very little to do. So first game we have on Steam is F1 2019 Anniversary Edition. This looks like a AAA Formula 1 racing game. I'm not sure I'd ever really want to play a Formula 1 game, in particular because Formula 1 is the racing game where you're playing cars that aren't really cars, and you're not allowed to really crash or race or bump even other players. So it is a very pure high-end sports way of playing a racing game, or racing in general. If you look at this, it's $59.99, and The Legends Edition is $69.99. Supports all kinds of languages. I'll put this on the fall list. It's mostly positive already, but I would certainly question whether I would want to play this racing game above several other options. Let's see. Go ahead and start with this. I'm just playing a regular game, just trying to win, don't have to do anything else. Next game we have on Steam is just a bunch of Asian characters. It looks like it's a strategy style of game. This clearly looks to me like a Chinese game, and it doesn't look very polished regardless. English is not supported. It is discounted to $1.59 since Chinese is the language, yes. So, yeah. Nothing here I can say more about that. TechRaptor has an article here. More Pokemon Master details revealed by the developer. Here we've got pictures of Pokemon gym leaders, I assume. Let's see. Let's read this while we're playing. A press release from DNA revealed some more details about Pokemon Masters and upcoming mobile games set in the Pokemon universe. The brand new game puts players in the island of Paiso, that's P-A-S-I-O, where they will fight intense 3 versus 3 battles to become the best fighter on the island. Now, so far, there's no guarantee that this is a 3-on-3 battle that is with Pokemon. This could be a 3-on-3 battle, just in some completely different other form or factor. That wasn't right. I should have. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Unlike traditional rules of Pokemon battles, Pokemon Masters use a system called sync pairs, where a trainer and Pokemon work together. A big portion of the game will revolve around recruiting these sync pairs to use in battle. A total of 65 sync pairs will be available at launch, with additional one to follow as post-launch content. So I wonder if this is going to be a gacha game where there's a lot to collect and gotta collect them all. 65 seems pretty low, but it seems like the sync pairs probably means you're going to get a human and one Pokemon, and those as a team are going to be your fighting units. That's what I'm taking from that.
Here we go.
Doing that. This won't be a game you can play by yourself either. Ideally, you'll be grouping up with 2 other real-world friends to form 3 sync pairs and fight against tough AI opponents. Unlike the majority of Pokemon franchise, these battles will take place in real time. 3 trainers and 3 Pokemon will face off against opposing 3 trainers, each of which with their own Pokemon. This, to me, seems like they are selling a special Pokemon battle as a separate app more than anything else. I'm not feeling like there's anything in this game so far that's been described that needed needed to be its own separate thing. Like, it is different for Pokemon. No specific mention of player versus player battles is made in the press release. I guess these are player versus event or NPCs, so it would probably be a PvE fight. So 3 humans versus 3 AIs in real time. I could see, even if you were big into like Pokemon Go, trying to play Pokemon Masters would be really hard. And if anything, while there is a lot of microtransactions in the Harry Potter game, from what I've seen as somebody who hasn't looked into it too detailedly, it seems like Harry Potter in particular has added a ton of small mini actions, mini games to make it very varied and just diverse in what you can do in that one game. So yeah, I don't know why Pokemon Go couldn't have just put in Pokemon Masters into Pokemon Go.
This is our town, scrub. This is our town, scrub.
Yeah, beat it.
Here we go.
Gonna hit that, I guess. And then hit that. And hit that. Pokemon Masters will be available in English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Spanish, and traditional Chinese at launch. And it will be billed as free to start title, which, if it's like previous Nintendo mobile games like Mario Run, free to start was accurate but not very helpful as a description. It means if you get into it after you played effectively a demo first level, then you're going to have to pay money.
Up to no good? Me too.
Get a card from another class if I was going to do that.
You're looking at me. You're looking at me.
Let's see. Pokemon Masters arrives sometime in the summer of 2019 for Android and iOS. And if we come over here, we have a presentation video. Clearly, the characters and the way they're being animated these days, depending on the game, seems to kind of shift dramatically. I don't know if that's because they have different artists do different things. So the whole idea of the sync characters, I think, pretty much implies this is not what the game is going to look like. That yeah, each human. The question here is, what are the humans really going to do? Like, are the humans stepping in front of like attacks of the Pokemon, or is this just a trainer telling a Pokemon to do an attack? Except for this time, trainers get to only pick one Pokemon and stuff. And is this like a female Red or a female Ash Ketchum with a Pikachu on her shoulder? Well, then wouldn't that be Red and Blue, or Ash and Gary? Yeah, I don't know how you take a game like this, though, as I'm skipping through this, and make this interesting, per se. Like, it seems almost like it's taking the ideas of Artifact and trying Artifact yet again. Alright, let's hurry up. Let's just take our victory and be done. Yeah, I don't know how you fix that. I really don't know how you do something new with Pokemon or make it more interesting. Somebody jumped on? No. I guess in this case we could try to add the last person we played as a friend so we can get a watch and learn, and we'll see if they accept. Meanwhile, I'll talk about some more news. Gematsu has an article. Utawaremono Zon Go Forth in Flight trailer. So is, I believe, a game that was recently announced. They have a trailer, so we can try and figure out what this is. It's probably a JRPG if I was to guess. Actually, it looks like it's a action-based hack and slash kind of Dynasty Warriors game. That looks interesting, certainly. Of course, if I tried to play any Dynasty Warriors game, or where it's just button mashing like crazy, I'd probably kill my fingers. But I'm willing to try. Once in a while, once every 3 or 4 years, I'll play one of these style games. Utawaremono Zon is due out for the PS4 September 10th in North America and September 13th in Europe. Doesn't seem like it's actually coming to any other platforms. Well, it seems like it would be a little silly not to play a couple of games, so let's see if we can at least get up to rank 18 with one more game, and then we'll move over to the Asian account. There's a chance that the Asian account will take a bunch of time. If not, we'll find some other ways to find something else to play. Find some other, go back to the America's account maybe, and challenge a friend, see if anybody's there. Alright. We've got a game on Steam, another one of these puzzle games, Bepuzzled Jigsaw Puzzle, Animals 103 Puzzle, for $1.59 discounted, and a bunch of language supports. Interesting English interface support, but full audio and subtitle support for several other languages, which I don't believe at all. It could be that the reason, and this is again just tinfoil hat speculation, it could be the reason why we're seeing animal puzzle games coming back into vogue is because maybe that rogue employee that maybe isn't actually a rogue employee inside of Valve has cracked down on the anime girls and who are naked puzzle games. If there had been a rejection of a bunch of those, I could see them trying to quickly and easily just replace the images and try and sell something different. If that's the case though, there's been only Manga Gamer complaining about something like that, and then even in Manga Gamer's example of complaining about being not allowed on Steam, they were rather quickly allowed on Steam. So yeah. So I would think there would be more complaining if that's what was going on. TechRaptor has another article about Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. They're working on the Switch performance issues. I think pretty much if you're going to play Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, you shouldn't play it on the Switch, you should play it on the PC. I think eventually it probably will play just fine on the Switch, but currently not so much. Let's see. TechRaptor has another article here. Noir Murder Mystery Night Call arrives on PC July 17th and consoles this year. So it's coming to Steam and the Xbox Game Pass for PC on July 17th, so potentially you could get it for free. And there's a video here. It's noir, so it's going with that black and white aesthetic. I don't think you absolutely have to have a black and white aesthetic to be a noir style game, although in a lot of ways what people call noir is actually, I think, neo-noir. Not seeing a lot here. It feels kind of like it might just be a point-and-click adventure or something like that. But yeah, I'll probably put it on the fall list when it comes out. I don't really see a reason why I wouldn't.
Let's go!
Gamatsu has an article here. Square Enix Dragon Quest XI team is hiring the next generation, hiring for the next generation Dragon Quest title. So, as a surprise to nobody, they're making a new Dragon Quest game. That really shouldn't be interesting or that surprising, because Dragon Quest is still the most popular series in Japan, and Square Enix has nothing else they can really offer. So again, I'll just throw this one a free friend and see if they'll accept the friend request so I can do a watch and learn. Although I just kicked their butt, so I don't know if I could really watch and learn from that anyways. Next game we have on Steam today is called Death In, and a bunch of Asian characters in its original language. This might be a interesting visual novel. They're calling it a strategy adventure RPG game. I don't think it really is that. This feels a lot like it is a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney clone. And this might be a Chinese game. Maybe, maybe not. English not supported. It's discounted to $2.39, and it is a Chinese game. We are seeing better Chinese games, though. Again, this is another example of, had they translated this and localized it to English well, there might actually be a game here to play. This looks like it might be a point-and-click adventure murder mystery experience. I like this animation here. I like this animation character, although maybe I don't agree with fading out a character to indicate who is speaking, but whatever. There's a lot of other elements here that could use more detail and more polish, but don't look terrible by any means. But of course it's not supporting English, so there's nothing I can do about it. Do we want to go for a win streak, I guess, and just keep playing Paladin? I guess we will. I guess we'll just go until I see the end of the line. What just happened there? I connected very quickly.
Victory or death! I will fight with honor.
Next we have a game on Steam called Your World Is Your Weapon. This doesn't look very polished. It looks like it's just a kind of top-down RPG game. I guess I kind of like this idea. It looks like the game Shopkeeper, but it also kind of looks like it's a mobile game with all the buttons down at the bottom of the screen like this. Yeah, this looks like it just has some parts that don't look that good. And see, this is The World Is Your Weapon, is $9.99, English and then Chinese and then Japanese and Korean. Yeah. I only like one of these screenshots, and then the rest of these look terrible and not polished. So again, this is probably an example of the anime girl in this catching my eye, but I should be focusing on the terrible interfaces and how much text is taking up the screen and the terrible backgrounds that it looks like when you're actually playing. So yeah, this isn't making it to the wish list. Move faster. Well, I guess I kind of need to. Komatsu has an article here. Bandai Namco announces online action RPG called Blue Protocol for PC. So Bandai Namco is making a new JRPG game, or I guess online action RPG game, is what they're calling it. If it's online, I probably would never play it. Blue Protocol doesn't seem like it's a continuation of any series, and Bandai Namco, if I'm recalling correctly, is about 50-50 on making good products, because they make a lot of things, certainly a lot of games and a lot of anime that sometimes succeed, sometimes don't. Moving on, Tech Raptor has an article. One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, is coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I think I already talked about this. It seems like it is going to be just a fighting game. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any major story on this. It'll be interesting to compare how well One Punch Man works compared to what's the name of the other series that's coming out.
The battle!
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that game or the anime that it's based off of. How can I describe it? Let's see. Well, it's the anime where it's the Skullgirl in the clothing that fights a different boss every episode, and the clothing gives her magical powers, and there's like life fibers and threads, and there's a whole thing about the clothing trying to take over the world near the end of it. And she fights with a giant half pair of a scissor. But I cannot remember the name of that anime. I know that there was a counter organization fighting against the main bad guys called Nudist Beach. I wonder.
Converting stored energy.
I know the subtitle of the game is IF. So it's something : IF. It's like made, I think Gainax made the anime. It's too new of one, so it's not on my shelf of animes by far. Speaking, I guess, on a side note of anime, Netflix redubbed Neon Genesis Evangelion, and people are having moderate problems with the dub and the fact that they didn't license the Fly Me to the Moon for the end things, which is pretty iconic, the end song. But it seems like there's really only 2 or 3 things people are complaining about. Although, if there's anything anybody's complaining about, then why bother to redub it at all? They probably didn't want to pay for the license, the separate license fee for the ADV dub. I own the original Neon Genesis Evangelion TV series and movies, which, by the way, they're what they are labeling as the Death and Rebirth movie is they're labeling it as Death parentheses True squared, which may be a different cut or a different release on that. So if I was ambitious enough, I could just put my DVDs in there and watch that. But yeah, that has nothing to do with video games really, and I still can't remember the name of the anime.
Access denied.
Let's see, I guess we could just look up the answer. I have my cell phone here. Let's see. Life fibers and then anime. Kill La Kill. That's the name of the series. Okay, I guess that explains in part why I didn't remember its name. So my point a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, was to say it'll be interesting to see the comparison between Kill La Kill's release and the One Punch Man release, as they are both going to be fighting games that are they're both going to be fighting games that will be released somewhat close to each other and are both anime centric. That being said, I'm not sure how many One Punch well, I don't know. There's a pretty big overlap of, if you're into anime fighting games, Kill La Kill and One Punch Man would both be in your wheelhouse, almost certainly. The only difference is if you hate female protagonists, then you wouldn't want to play Kill La Kill, but there's female protagonists or female characters that are centric in One Punch Man eventually too. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here that's just a bunch of Asian characters, and it looks like it is a RPG Maker garbage game. It looks pretty bad even on the scale of an RPG Maker game. English is not supported, $3.99, Chinese only. This is another example, I think, of a bad Chinese game. Like, if this is going for a Game Boy feel, it's not really capturing that for me with the green, and it certainly just looks terrible. And then you lose that in the art here, so why does it all of a sudden change in color? Alright.
Access denied.
That. So that. And then hit that. And then hit that. Next game we have on Steam is called Valley of Decay, which looks like another low effort RPG Maker game. It looks totally terrible. And again, I suspect maybe a Chinese game. Maybe I'm getting a little too paranoid on that. It's free this time, and it's English only. So yeah, I have to put this on the Westerners this time. Just a terrible, low effort game. I don't even know if you really call this as an asset flip game, although these assets are very possibly pre-built. They look so terrible, and they don't feel like a 3D asset you would buy at the Unreal store or the Unity store. That making that claim, I don't think adds anything more to the information. Alright, well, see if we can friend request this person. Well, it seems like we got up to rank 18. We could keep on playing and try to get up on higher ranks. So I guess that's what we should do. I do see the end of the line here, but whatever. Let's go one more game. If we lose, I'll move over to the Asian account. Otherwise, we may just show off the Asian account and I'll play it off screen. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Tilting Point promises more than $20 million for UA costs in Cook's App's publishing deal. UA would be what?
Let the hunt
I don't know what they mean by the phrase UA. User acquisition. Okay. So they're going to spend $20 million to get more users to play their games. Alright. That's the type of things that publishers are supposed to do, is that when they sign a deal with the developers to acquire people to actually play the game, or try to advertise to people so that they might play their game. I'm gonna do this. And then end the turn. Gamma Sutra has the same article we already talked about. Valve clarifies the Steam sale event if devs chart declining wish list. Let's see. It's not only that Valve, in the middle of the race, clarified things. They've changed how it works. So they basically cheated. And there might be even a legal complaint to be made here. Quite frankly, I shouldn't have done that this turn. But yeah, I think it really just goes to show that they did not think this thing through, or perhaps they were doing internal testing and it all made sense internally. Or maybe the person in charge of it was just so feared by everybody else that nobody was willing to say, wait a minute, this could be confusing. Like, even to me, I consider myself capable of understanding quite a lot, and even to me, the way things were being explained on the Steam Grand Prix event was not really that clear. It really didn't make it obvious what you were supposed to do, and my choice to choose the second runner-up team of Team Tortoise very well may not succeed, because Team Tortoise is now at least in one race was becoming the target because people recognized that they had no chance of slowing down the first runner-up, the winner, Team Corgi. So instead, it was just a race for second place. And when it became a race for second place, everybody started targeting and slowing down Team Tortoise, which kind of sucks for me. In the end, also, it feels like I'm pretty glad I'm not spending a lot of time on this, because I'm almost certainly not going to be gifted any games. And I don't think the majority of people are going to be gifted any games. It feels like this is a raffle, a lottery, where the odds are at best 1 in 10,000. Whereas previous Steam games and sales have been giving you little inexpensive, valueless things. At least you were getting something. Now, it doesn't feel like it. And what I would have done, if my guess is right that they're trying to de-emphasize and get out of the trading card market, since there were no trading cards in this sale, what I would have done is said it straight and plain. We're going to retire trading cards, and as such, in this sale, we're giving away trading cards to everybody. Every game you have, whether you've played it or not, is now eligible for trading card drops. We're going to be giving random trading cards to everybody, and just as you continue to play up, if you spend even a moderate to small amount of energy on it, you'll get all the trading cards to get all of the badges you want and get up to level 5, which is what everybody wants. And on top of that, that would also be foil trading cards too, that are getting dropped. And then everybody would get at least the trading cards, whether they cared about that or not.
Access denied.
And everybody would receive something of value, where by the time this Grand Prix event ends, it's going to very much be a winners and losers thing. You can see on some Reddit forum somebody starting a survey and go, who actually won a game and who actually didn't, and you'll see that 98% of people did not win a game at all. Or, you know what, if there was some way to get some tokens that were worth $1 each, or a penny each, and you could play the game to earn enough cash to have store credit to just buy whatever game you want. That would have been nice too. Instead of giving away free games, just give away store credit. That could have worked too. Moving on, Steam has a game on here called Box Labyrinth, which looks like a piece of garbage, and I will point out, probably Western game. Looks like a rogue clone done terribly. It's discounted to $1.49, English only. Yeah, nothing there worth mentioning. Gamma Sutra has an article. A company called Gumi, G-U-M-I, lays off 32 with the closure of Gumi Europe. This is the mobile game. It shut down both the Paris Gumi Europe and the mobile game Brave Frontier the last summer. The studio launched in 2018. I've never heard of this game. Of course, it's a mobile game, but that's the weird thing about mobile games too, is that there can be slightly successful games that nobody has ever heard of, or most gamers like me, PC gamers, aren't going to have heard of. So I don't think there's anything else to say about that. TechRaptor has an article here. Super Mario Maker 2 limits players to uploading 32 stages online. That's a very arbitrary number, clearly. But it also, 100 would have been a lot better, but I could also see somebody not trying to just waste their waste the storage space, which Nintendo clearly isn't paying a lot for storage space to upload these things. But it could also just be a limitation because they have somebody actually looking at every single level, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So they want to make it a situation where you can't create one account and then easily upload 100 Mario Maker things full of like swastikas or something like that, something offensive, which people will certainly try. Alright, well, I've won.
Follow the rules.
Won again.
Justice.
As long as we're getting a win streak, since we're at the end of the month, work our way up the ranks. Like, all I'm really looking for is a watch and learn. While we're waiting to see if somebody responds to that, here we have a game on Steam called Baculus, which looks like a top-down propulsion kind of puzzle game, kind of like a Flappy Bird puzzler more than anything else. It doesn't look very polished or interesting though. There's nothing here that I'd want to play. Discounted to $2.99, English only. Terrible thumbnail. That's really the level of art I would expect myself to make. They didn't accept. Okay, we'll play one more game then. Gamma Sutra has an article. Stadia purchases and saves will remain accessible even if the publisher pulls support. I don't know how you get around the publisher pulling support, because
I will fight with honor.
I guess it's just in the initial contract. It's a permanent, non-revocable license to publish that. But certainly, I think if Ubisoft put a game on Stadia and they didn't want it on Stadia anymore, they would at least tie it up in the courts and send cease and desist letters, which really don't have that much teeth. But then further, actually would seek out injunctions that does have legal teeth to tell them that they can't allow people to have those games.
Move quickly.
This is an odd statement to have to say even before your streaming service launches, like, because it does really give the feeling that people are contemplating the end of Stadia before it even launches. The other thing I saw is Stadia, I guess technically you won't have a beta because the first year itself, where you have to have Stadia Pro, is the beta. So you just have to assume that it works. That's not really a good system for something that you really need to test out and figure out if your internet can handle it. So there's a lot of questions left unanswered, which is exactly what it says in this article on Stadia, and a lot of skepticism when it comes to Stadia in general. And skepticism on Google in general too. It would be probably better if Google split off Stadia as a separate company completely. Like, this is going to be a company under Alphabet, not Google. This is going to be run by its own, run as its own separate thing. It's not going to it's not going to be a integration into Google's other services and ads and search. That would reassure us a little bit. The same thing would be true with Nest. People are upset that Nest is getting fully integrated into Google. People were not so upset with Google buying Nest when it stayed its own separate company for a few years than it did. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. New reports details of potential hardware for the Nintendo Switch revision. The most part about this, and this is a Digital Foundry story I saw, is that they're working for a Tegra X2 processor instead of the Tegra X1. I believe it's being labeled something like the Tegra Mariko. Mariko, Mario with a K in it. So the Tegra X1 Mariko, it might simply be a version 2.0 of the Switch as it is, and not a improvement or a different version, a smaller, less, more mobile focused version of games. So that is a thing to take from that too, is that it might be that that instead of them rolling out what we thought would be the Joy-Cons are directly connected to the screen and can't come off, something more durable, less breakable, something with a smaller screen, something that probably couldn't be docked as easily or didn't come with a dock, things like that. That's where we thought we were going to get a Switch Mini, basically. We may just see a Switch Pro, for lack of a better term, come out that just has a slightly better processor. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be Nintendo's first experiment in doing something like that, and leaving the people who bought the original Switch in the lurch, where games will probably still play, but they won't play as well as you would like on the original Switch, and everything will be built around the idea of
access denied.
having good performance around the version 2 of the Switch, which isn't a terrible thought either, because like the Switch certainly could use more power. They've done a lot with it, but certainly could use more power like any other console. Next we have a game on Steam here called Gravity Vector, which looks like a space fly around game where you can also generate your own ships. Speaking of space games I really don't have much interest in, because I really don't have much interest in any space games. Apparently EVE Online's NPCs all decided or were programmed to attack the players after the players had just finished a big battle and were very weak, and so it has massively changed how EVE Online is being played right now. It's because the NPCs and I guess effectively the people in charge of EVE Online decided to take back some of the territory. Perhaps this is in an effort, what I was thinking. Gravity Vector here, by the way, is $8.49 discounted, English only. I'm not interested in it, so it's not making it to the full list. My thought was perhaps this is an instance where they just want to get some of the square footage and the space taken back, because people have been exploring and going further and further from the starting point in the EVE Online world, and they've been building bases and they've been changing things, all of which would take up server space and make it harder for somebody to I don't know if they have warp points so you can go from the center of the universe to the edge of the universe, or if they just have to fly to the edge of the universe. But yeah, effectively it's a simulation of what I would only assume is an ever-expanding universe, and if they have the NPCs take back and attack the parts of the map that are closer to the center, there's probably a good amount of more gameplay that will start happening in the center of the map, instead of it just being these fortified home bases for one corporation or one group of players that you cannot be taken over, cannot be attacked. It's almost like it's a server reset where everybody is going back to level 1, but it's a canonical Civil War server reset. Alright, well, I lost that one, so there goes my win streak, which that gives me a fine excuse to move over to the Asian account. Let's just quickly see if this person's going to accept a friend request. No. Alright, so let's switch over to the Asian account. And I don't think we've been going long enough to break up the episode, so we'll just get into the Asian account. While that's loading, we have a game here on Steam called Diamonds, which looks like an asset flip first-person shooter game. Does not look interesting. It's early access, free to play, English only, single player only too.
Pull up a chair by the hearth.
So yeah, there's nothing there positive to say. Alright, what do we have to do on the Asian account today? Let's re-roll this. Alright, so Paladin and Warrior and Hunter and Mage. So we'll start with Mech Hunter and we'll play ranked. And I guess we're looking for victory, so let's play casual actually, because we don't have that much news. We have a game here called Fist of Heaven and Hell. It looks ridiculous. Looks like MS Paint level graphics, and not anything I'd ever really want to play. It's $6.79 discounted, English and Spanish. Yeah.
I will
Nothing
fight
there.
with honor. Let the hunt begin.
Let's see, trade out all these cards. Next we have a game on Steam called Storm Chasers, which looks like it's probably an asset flip game. Although, an asset flip game where you're driving around chasing tornadoes is, frankly, a different style of game. I think if you put some polish there and put a story to this, you could have a game there. They made a movie, certainly, at least a couple of movies where storm chasers were the main focus of it. Twister, I believe, was the name of the movie in the 80s. But they didn't make a lot of movies by that description.
Job's done.
So, Storm Chasers as a game is discounted to $11.04 in English only. Visually though, there's not a polish here. If I was going to do this, it would need to be bright and very visually polished. I would want to feel like I was really there. And I would want to also have a feeling that this was a realistic experience. And you see hands, but this isn't a VR game in one of the screenshots, so it's just disembodied hands driving the car for no reason. Give a friendly mech +1/+1 if it has a death rattle, trigger it. I don't have that.
I comply.
Let's go ahead and hit that. Tech Raptor has an article here, Cadence of Hyrule review, a link to the Necrodancer. So this is the second game that they actually have reviewed since E3. So they're getting back to it. From what I've heard, Cadence of Hyrule is a pretty good game, but this is pretty much the size of the map, and each one of these squares is just a puzzle. There are dungeons that adds quite a bit, I think, as far as what to get and play, and it seems like there is a decent amount of inventory items and such, but 10 hours of gameplay and you've probably done everything. Also, I looked at Crypto the Necrodancer on Steam. It doesn't have an easy mode from what I can see, so I probably am going to remove that from my wish list. In particular, it's asking a lot of someone who, like me, who has no rhythm, to try and play those games. So unless I can find some kind of mod that comes out to make Crypto and Necrodancer easier and playable if you have no rhythm, I'm hoping that maybe Cadence of Hyrule inspires them to make a new game for PC that is a little bit easier and better for people without rhythm to play. Because in Cadence of Hyrule you can play it where it's just a you don't have to follow the beat at all. You can just turn the beat off completely. Let's see. Do I want to do that? As far as Cadence of Hyrule, Tech Raptor gave it a 9.0 amazing. I don't need to show you that part, actually, it's just text. Cadence of Hyrule is a strange spin-off between The Legend of Zelda and Crypto the Necrodancer, but it works well as a mashup. It's a bit too short and the replay value isn't substantial, but the remix songs and exhilarating gameplay are too good to pass up. Pros, amazing soundtrack, vibrant visuals and aesthetics, great variety of weapons and abilities, fun and engaging roguelike elements. Cons are it's too short and the replay value varies. Which, yeah.
I wonder.
Deal 1 damage to all other characters. I don't think I want to do that. Oh, I didn't play that right either.
Well played.
Yeah, I played poorly there. This next story is quite surprising. USA Networks has ordered a Masters of Doom pilot, which I don't know what that really would mean. The story follows John Romero and John Carmack's founding of id Software and the development of each classics of such classics as Doom and Wolfenstein's 3D. So it seems like it's going to be a TV miniseries docudrama of the creation of Doom, not actually a game or story inside of the world of Doom. Let's see. So, if this actually happens, that would be maybe slightly interesting, but also it could be really, really pointless and silly. Alright, what do we want to do? Hit that. I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna hit that. And I can't do anything without the risk of killing all my minions, which I don't want to do. I don't know how this is going to work because I can't play two of these at the same turn, so I'm going to have to sacrifice something. TechRaptor's take on it says it'll be interesting to see how Masters of Doom performs given the subject matter and that it's on a cable network instead of a streaming service, which seems like it would be a better fit. Given the Franco brothers and Beasel's involvement, that was part of the story I skipped over, as who was involved in the development. We have somewhat an idea of how it will turn out based on their theatrical film, The Disaster Artist, which was based on Beasel's book. Deadline is also reporting that this is a pilot and not a series order, so it may not be made into a full series if USA Network declines. Although that being said, if you make a pilot, there is a tendency after the fact to have that pilot and be able to shop that around to other potential investors, which increases the odds of something getting picked up, but it's still not great odds. So if The Disaster Artist was a docudrama talking about how the one of the worst movie producers made one of the worst movies ever, this might be a similar scenario. Right. Do this. Kill this. Do this. This. And kill that. Oh, I didn't need to do that. I could have done 2 damage there. Because this one's going to do 1 damage to everybody anyways. So that's an interesting beginning of an announcement that we probably won't hear anything new from or about for many, many years. Let's see, Gamma Sutra. Death Rattle will destroy a random minion. Double bomb there. Okay. Got it. Victory. That was a victory outside of my own turn, at the end of my turn. That was nice. Let's try that again. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Just Cause developer Avalanche partners with Nitro Games on a new mobile project. Now, the fact that the Just Cause developer is moving on to work with a company to make a mobile project sounds really, really bad to me. Like, why aren't you making the next Just Cause game? Or another AAA game?
Your soul shall be mine. Let the hunt
Let's see.
begin.
Avalanche is also known for working on Mad Max Generation Zero. They can't do anything with Mad Max. Never heard of Generation Zero. Renegade Ops and The Hunter. I've never heard of any of these. Whereas Nitro has worked on Medals of War and Heroes of the Warland, which Heroes of Warland is still in development. So yeah, it sounds like Avalanche Software is not in a good position, if I was to guess, financially, if they're trying to make a mobile game. Let's see. TechRaptor has the same article. This is the big story of the week, certainly. No, you shouldn't remove wishlist games from the Steam Summer Sales content. So here's a picture that just shows the imbalance here. Team Corgi here has a boost of 3,147. Second in place is Team Tortoise at 295 times boost. So it's, you know, hugely imbalanced. And so they really did need to change the race mid team, but they didn't think it through. Frankly, there should have been a completely different system. Maybe you get randomly placed in. Let's see. Maybe if you were randomly placed in team, that would make more sense. I think previous games have done that on the Steam sales. So why they didn't do it this time is weird. Let's see. Here it goes. Valve has released a blog post talking about some of the changes that are made to the Steam Grand Prix overall in an attempt to make the game slightly easier to understand and somewhat more balanced. The driver's dash and manual have been clarified to make it easier to understand. Back-end changes have been made that will hopefully reduce some of the snowballing effects that have led to Team Corgi winning the first 2 days handily. And code changes have been made to deal with imbalanced team sizes. And a new random drop called Steel Boost has been added, which will give teams in the rear of the pack a fighting chance to catch up. Oh, I guess that explains why I haven't seen the Steel Boost options. So yeah, they're definitely trying to make it more of a race and less of a single-handed victory by Team Corgi. Let's see, I guess I'll just have to do this. TechRaptor has an article here that is probably more what Steam was hoping that you'd focus on. TechRaptor's pick for hidden gems on Steam Summer Sale 2019. This will be interesting, although in a lot of ways this is probably just them promoting things they've written articles about or have some other less than perfectly disclosed relationship with. Don Parsons, the age of... I guess Don Parsons is one of the writers. So they're going to break it up by writer. So Don Parsons suggests The Age of Decadence. Hero U will show this because the prices are here and such. I doubt we'll see anything much more than 90% off. Hero U Rogue to Redemption and Battle Chef Brigade. Robert Scarapinido suggests Freedom Planet, Ziggurat, and 20XX. Samuel Golimo, they're only suggesting 3 games. Compared to my own video, like I went through my entire wish list and I'm like, yeah, look at these games that I've already decided I want to play and see which of these games are actually on sale and shop that way. And that's how they say to shop, is have your shopping list done really, really early before a sale happens, and if something's on sale and it's on the list, spend the money then. Samuel Guillermo says Code 7 is story-driven hacking adventure. The Metro Omicron, Slay the Dance Floor, and Moss. A lot of these games I haven't heard of. So I guess they are hidden gems. Robert Adams says Neverlia, Hakoina Explorer Plus, and on the Holy Heights. Courtney Efferholler says The Black Legacy, Avery Attorney, and Finding Teddy. I have heard of The Blackwell Legacy and Finding Teddy. Those are the first two games. Austin Souther says Stacking for $1.49. That's a good deal. Halfway, never heard of that. The Moose Man. So, I wish they had put more pictures in this. A picture for each game would have been better. But also at this current point, I'm not willing to spend any more money on the sale. I'm trying to save up for a new video card. I've been doing that for potentially 2 years now, and spending extra 100 there, extra 100 there, makes it hard to have an extra 500 when you need to buy a video card, certainly. Let's see. I guess that means I'm not particularly good at saving cash, and that's probably true. Gametsu has an article. Radurgi Swag is coming west this fall. I have no idea what this game is. It launched on the Nintendo eShop in Japan. It doesn't have any kind of... It's a shoot 'em up, I guess. It's a shmup. But no video or anything like this to describe it better, so yeah. I bet it's not that important or good. Let's see, I can do this twice or I can wait 2 turns. I'm gonna take out this guy. Attack here, here, and here. I don't know if this is very video game related, but Kama Sutra has an article. The iPhone and iPod designer Johnny Ive is leaving Apple after 27 years. I assume after 27 years you probably have vested Apple stock and probably a full pension retirement set up too. I doubt you would have to put in 30 years, and if he did only have to stay at the company for 3 more years after 27, he probably would do that. This might be the beginning of him going to start his own company or make it work with a different company. Let's see. And I don't know if his designs or his work, if he designed the iPhone and the iPad, is going to significantly change where mobile games are going, because I don't think he designed any actual software. And the iPad and the iPhone, for at the simplest terms, is just a touchscreen. So yeah, Apple fans will see that as a potential big thing, and it might be a big thing for Apple in general, but quite frankly, if Apple went bankrupt tomorrow and everybody had to get Android phones because it just stopped working, I don't think that would drastically change the quality of gaming on mobile. Same would be true if Google pulled out of Android and Android stopped working and everybody had to get iPhones. That would slightly affect games on gaming on mobile, but only so much as some of the games that are allowed on Google Play are not allowed on iOS or the Apple Store.
Job's done.
So, but yeah, no big changes I expect will happen anytime soon because of this announcement, or frankly, pretty much any other announcement.
Ooh, I wonder what this does.
Next, we have a game on Steam here called Late for Work, which looks like a VR game where you're playing as a pair of hands and a gorilla head, and you're, I think, trying to find your briefcase and hat while being attacked and go to work as a gorilla. So it's kind of a Godzilla simulator, but for the most part it seems silly and kind of lacking in polish. Requires VR. It's $11.24 discounted. And yeah, I just don't see these visual graphics being the things that I'm looking for if I was going to play a game like this. And I'm not sure I really want a VR version of a Godzilla simulator. I think I probably want just a regular world, like a regular 3D version that has better graphics. And I want to be probably from the third-person perspective, so I can see Godzilla the whole time. Next, we have a game on Steam called Hand-to-Hand Combat, which seems like you're punching people with a finger poke and maybe making a gun symbol with your fingers. This looks like a very low-effort asset flip game, though it doesn't look that interesting. It looks like another VR game that is trying to use the new controller to do something interesting, but really not succeeding very well at doing that. Hand-to-hand combat is discounted to $4.49 and supports English only as the language. Yeah. I guess maybe the future will be, for a while, a lot of demo VR games using the new controllers that can do finger tracking, and then we'll get back to just having little trickles of VR games, none of which are super amazing. Ubisoft Montreal is hiring an integration specialist in programming full-time if you're interested in that. They tweeted it out themselves. Although Ubisoft Montreal also tweets it out in French as required. I believe in Montreal all postings must be in French and in English, which leads me to believe, as somebody who's not in Canada, that you pretty much have to be bilingual to work in Montreal and speak both French and English to a certain level of expertise. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article. Hunt Deadly Bounties in Kill Squad coming to Steam Early Access July 2019. Never heard of this game, Kill Squad. And it looks like it's a multiplayer game. It'll be in Early Access, so maybe there's a game here that will gain popularity, but looking at just a screenshot, I can't even tell what's happening here. Is this a person on the ground shooting at some kind of machine, or some kind of vampire, or some kind of dragon on a machine? I can't even tell. It's visually cluttered. So yeah. This and this. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam that's called Avant-Garde Discerning Paralleler, and then a bunch of Asian words. It looks like it's a shoot-'em-up arcade game. I suspect this is probably not a very good shoot-'em-up arcade game. Looks very visually busy, and they're throwing in the anime characters to tell a story. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Chinese game. English is not supported, $9.99. Oh, it's Japanese only. But This might be one of those rare instances of a low-effort Japanese PC game, whereas most low-effort Japanese games tend to be on the Vita or some other platform. Let's go ahead and hit that. Let's see. Gematsu has an article, VR Ping Pong Pro announced for the PlayStation VR and PC VR. I kind of thought I'd seen a game already like this, but you know, if VR Ping Pong is a real ping pong game in VR and it plays well and looks good, there might be something to that. But then again, it might just be a huge waste of time, and you run into a danger of playing anything like this in VR where you're going to swing your hands around and snag a cord or potentially knock something off a shelf.
Ooh, I wonder what this does.
Job's done.
Oops, I guess this isn't a death rattle. I thought it was a death rattle that would have triggered, but it's not. It's just something that happens at the end of every turn. As long as, if this can do 1 damage and this can do 2 damage, I've won. If they find a way to kill this, then I will need to do 1 more damage.
From nothing, power.
I still may win. I can play tracking. Otherwise, I'm probably lost. Alright. 4 goblin bombs. Let's do this. Do this. These guys have charge. So, there we go. Got it. And that was the Hunter and Mage victories we needed. What was the other thing we needed to do? Paladin and Warrior. So, kind of need to finish all the news in this next Paladin game, potentially. Gematsu has an article, Kamiko sales top 250,000 on the Switch. It's available now for the PC worldwide and PS4 in Japan. This is a game I saw earlier that looked like it was interesting enough that I put it on the fall list. Apparently it's been popular popular in Japan. It did look slightly special, and 250,000 sales, I guess, means it is slightly special. It's kind of a good sign to see that, yes, a game that that otherwise might be called just a RPG Maker game, if it has something special about it, will not just get overlooked. Although there probably are a decent number of games that do get overlooked. Speaking of games that probably should be overlooked, we have a game here called Rune Girl, tagged sexual content nudity. It, for the best I can tell, seems to just be screenshots here of anime girls. There's something that happened before this part where it says victory, but I cannot tell you what it is. It has some visual novel dialogue around it, but I don't know what this game is or how you play it, but I do see that it's mixed reviewed already, so people are not happy with it. It's 69 cents discounted. English, Chinese, Japanese. We could look at the reviews, but the only one in English says 6 out of 10. And which one? So Rune Girl's not making it to the wish list. TechRaptor has an article here. ActRaiser, spiritual successor Soul Seraph, hits consoles and PCs on July 10th. I've never heard of either ActRaiser or Soul Seraph. I don't know if ActRaiser is the original game. I guess it is. Let's see what it's a Sega published game. This must have been a pretty Japanese-centric game series. So it looks like a platformer where you're playing as an angel. There might be something to this, but again, this might just be kind of annoying and generic. Sega is still using the Sega symbol over the eye as in its logo. Is interesting.
I must move quickly.
Well, when Soul Seraph comes out
Let me think.
when it comes out for the on Steam, I'll maybe put it on the fall list. I think I would. TechRaptor has an article here. Panzer Dragoon remake out before March 2020 and is getting a physical release. This is kind of a hype article. Alright, yeah. Out before 2020 doesn't mean too much, but I guess it means more than anything else. And I just bored that guy into conceding, so alright. I guess what we can do now is switch back to the Americas account, since there is a challenge a friend on the Americas account and a watch and learn that we can see if maybe we can find that. While that's happening, let's wrap up the news. EA Access for PS4 launches July 24th. So if you have EA Access, I guess you'll be getting the ability to play those games on the PS4. Alright, so I have a challenge a friend. The idea would be to try to get somebody to log on to the main account. That being said, I could just play my secondary account against myself and that would work just fine. Let's give it a few minutes and then we'll switch over. TechRaptor has an article here. Flappy Bird Battle Royale is a thing apparently. I still don't think there's a real reason why you'd want to play Flappy Bird in any form or factor. But this game, Flappy Royale, apparently exists on Apple Store and Google Play and itch.io. It's just kind of one of those articles. Let's talk about a game nobody should care about or does care about. Next, we have a game on Steam called Reverse Me Res Ru, which seems like this is some kind of text-based game, but it also seems like it is a very it's like just turning the words backwards for no reason. It doesn't seem like there's a game here. This is 84 cents discounted. It's got a whole bunch of games bundled. This is English and French. It's like, nope, I don't see anything here that's worth playing. Do we have somebody? Oh, somebody came on and then they immediately jumped into a game. So we could spectate, I guess. TechRaptor was talking about this 64 Nintendo Super 64 Nintendo 64 upscaler. Apparently they had to put a correction after it. A Nintendo 64 connects to the back of it. somehow, or is built into it. Maybe it's a mod chip outside of the box to just upscale the Super Nintendo 64, which you could probably do that pretty easily with a standard upscaler as much as anything else, just to get that HDMI output. Is that even HDMI audio though, or are you having to connect something else? I guess there is a proprietary plug in the back of it, so it's only giving you 480p video. So yeah. So they speculated that it was 720p, and it's not. Even 480p though on a modern TV might be something you can't really deal with or plug into a modern monitor. I wouldn't be surprised if you tried to put in 480p into a 4K or 8K monitor. It would just say the resolution's too low. And frankly, TVs might upscale a lot better than a separate device. But I imagine there is a market of people that are excited about this and would want to go for it. Moving on, check out there's an article. Pokemon Go celebrates its 3rd anniversary with shiny Alolan variants and more. So yeah, if you're into Pokemon Go, I'm sure you know all about this. Again, the art style, depending on the Pokemon game, looks very different. You would think that they'd have a more consistent control over the art styles going on and how things are drawn, but it seems like they're encouraging variety and diversity in the way things are drawn. Certainly the Pokemon manga looked nothing like the Pokemon comic book, anime, and the game did not ever look as good as the anime. Moving on, Gamester chose an article. Get a job. ARM is hiring a game engine tech lead. This is in Cambridge, England, UK. ARM might be the company that makes the ARM chipsets, but ARM might also be a completely different company just by the similar name. If this is the company that makes the ARM chipsets that are in most cell phones, and the processors there, that would be interesting, certainly. It would be more interesting though, personally, if Intel was hiring game developers to make mobile processors and continued to try to make mobile processors. But Intel really hasn't been doing that. We have a game on Steam here called On Your Mark, which looks like it's just a random assortment of VR things. There's a video here. Let's see if the video can explain things a little bit better. Yeah, it's a stand in one place and hit things game, like so many other stand in one place and hit thing VR games. It's $14.99, English only. I don't really see anything here that interests me because it's so weird. It seems to just cycle between random garbage. I don't see a consistent theme, and the thumbnail's not very good either. Next we have a game on Steam called Please Find Me, which might be an asset flip horror game where you're looking for somebody, or it might be actually a somewhat polished horror game where you're looking for somebody. This trailer doesn't look terrible. You know, spelunking and looking for somebody lost in the woods is almost a more realistic, scary thought than most games where you're running around running into zombies. Although it seems like in that video you did run into a siren and a shark, and it seems like you're gonna spend most of your time in a cave. This is $2.09, which is too cheap, frankly, discounted, and it's English and Russian. So I'll give this one a chance to put it on the fall list, but I imagine if people start reviewing this, they'll find that it's like 5 minutes long and it's just a kind of walking simulator style adventure where it's point A to point B. But whatever. Moving on to the next game, we have one called Slip Slop, World's Hardest Platformer Game. We know that's probably not true, and by the looks of it, it looks like it's just a total garbage mobile game port, Unity single screen game. Early access, free to play, English only. There's nothing here visually appealing whatsoever.
I wonder.
And we've already talked about that, so we need to talk about it again. Here's very possibly one of the best sales to me, as somebody who has never played the drums in their life, not even playing with the drums. A Drum Master VR makes a decent amount of sense. Now, can you plug in a digital drum set so they don't make as much noise? And can you potentially wrap cloth or something around the drumsticks so that they still have the impact and feel of hitting a drum without making the audio outside, so you could be in a tiny New York apartment playing drums? If you could get that to work, this would be a great sell for drummers or kids who want to get into drumming and potentially can't afford a drum set. Drum sets aren't particularly the most expensive instrument in the world. They are probably the biggest space taker-uppers as far as instruments, but they are still pretty expensive. $10.99 requires VR. I'm going to put this on the fall list. It's different, it's unique. It may not be good, it may not play well, it may not feel anything like drumming. What I'm speculating and thinking about, where you would have digital drums that either you could place in the same placement as the virtual ones you're seeing, and then the virtual ones would play audio into your headphones while the actual drums don't make as much noise or any noise at all, particularly if you're hitting them with like padded sticks. That would solve a lot of the problems that parents in particular, have with drummers and their kids getting into drumming, is that they need to practice as much as anybody else, but it is sure loud and noisy. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Intergonum, which I don't think I pronounced that right, but this looks like a Mordhau Chivalry clone.
I don't need
it looks like an asset flip, low effort game. It's $2.99 discounted and English only. So yeah, that's not making it to the fall list. We still got some games to cover, about 6 or so. We have a game called Matter of the Dreams here, which looks like it's probably a massive flip horror game.
any of you.
Yep, nothing here of interest. Requires VR and requires a controller. $19.99, English and Russian. Like, I don't even think you could call this though a low effort Russian troll game though, because it takes more effort to make a VR game than what I think a troll game would do. So it's just a bad Russian game, generically speaking. Gamatsu has an article, The Alternate Jake Hunter, Dadless, The Awakening of Golden Jazz for PC launches July 4th. So this is the I believe visual novel adventure game of some sort that'll come out, and yeah, it's tagged as a visual novel. It's a very long title. This guy's about to win, so let's follow him and pay attention. Come on, let's see. What does he have? He has lifesteal.
I am one with the candle.
You can silence this guy. So leave that on that. And then he can attack and do 10 damage. He should be fine. You can play this. There's no reason not to play it, but you can hold back too.
Quickly.
I would silence this guy. Yep. And then I would just heal.
I can't decide.
So I want to focus here and see if this guy concedes. Can I quickly challenge a friend?
Dark one snatch all.
The odds of him winning 29-1 are nothing. I must have not
Well
reset my
played.
timer.
Smart moves. I concede.
Leave. Come on. Challenge a friend. If this guy doesn't accept the challenge, I'm gonna be so upset. After all that time. Alright, well, while we're waiting for him to... The player has no standard decks. What? Fine. How about a wild duel? I'll play a standard deck versus a wild challenge. And I'm just gonna play Paladin anyways, so whatever. So next game we have on Steam is Cat Girl Lover, which was tagged. I thought nudity. Yes, it is nudity. It's a Honey Pop clone where you have match 3 games and anime characters in scantily clad clothing. Although this might be more closer to a Candy Crush clone than anything else. The animation style's not particularly great on these characters. So I don't think I would be sold on playing this. Frankly, it's 49 cents discounted. And I think if I'm going to play a Honey Pop style game or an adult game with match 3 elements, I'm probably only going to play Honey Pop and then Honey Pop 2 when it's coming out, not delve down into these middling effort games that are selling themselves on sex. I wouldn't play this game if it didn't have the anime girls in the clothing, so I shouldn't play the game in general. But it certainly does still inspire hope for Steam's hands-off policy that these games are showing up on the storefront and seem to be not getting censored, particularly in a world these days where everything else seems like it's getting censored left and right.
Converting stored energy. Photonic burst. Job's
Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Nine Trails with a bunch of Asian names. This is probably a Chinese MMO if I was to guess. And it doesn't look bad, but I bet it doesn't support English really. And it doesn't look particularly good. And frankly, I would never play an MMO, and I don't think MMOs are ever going to come back in favor to the West, except for maybe World of Warcraft. Maybe if World of Warcraft gets shut down, something else would have a chance to gain popularity, but I would imagine it would just be a case of EverQuest coming back into popularity, or Skyrim, the Skyrim Online becoming popular. I bet we wouldn't see a lot of instances otherwise. This game is discounted to $15.59 and supports English and simplified Chinese. I think the English is questionable at best there. I bet the translation's not great. But I have no evidence to that fact. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Museum of Other Realities, which I guess takes the idea of a museum and surrealism and tries to expand upon it. On the other hand, it might just be a VR version of somebody showing off their 3D models and their weirdness, or perhaps they've asset flipped some things and made them look weird so it looks like they all connect. I don't know what the real value or gameplay here is in this. It seems like it's just going to be weird for weirdness sake. Early access, $19.99, requires VR, English only. I don't see anything in that makes me want to put it in the put it under consideration on the fall list. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called The Last Escape of Yeti, which looks like it's going to be a completely pencil-drawn game, and looks like it's just an incredibly low-effort point-and-click adventure, for lack of a better term. See, this might actually have a decent story or a game in it, but nobody in their right mind would ever actually play it long enough to find out if that's the case, and it seems like the controls and the clicking is pretty awful. 99 cents with no discount, English only. If I can't make a game that looks way better than this, I wouldn't make a game, and that's basically why I haven't ever made a game. I would hire an artist, and if I'm not confident in the game I'm developing to hire an artist, I should just give up at that point completely. And we're having a decent number of cheesecake games, as it were, coming out today. Let's see.
Reporting for duty.
There we go. So next game we have on Steam is called Dancing Girl, and here you have a lady with a big cleavage and very little bikini, and then there's some bunny outfit things. This is one of those games where they've just licensed or gotten some 3D models and they're having them dance on the stage, and that is pretty much the entirety of the game. It seems like it's might have some VR support, but maybe not. $2.69 is way too expensive for what this is, particularly when there's another game called Wet Girl that is bundled with it. English and Chinese, so this is one of those Chinese games. I bet there's not really any nudity. Well, it says nudity, but I bet it's not as much nudity as you would expect normally for that style of game, because it's a Chinese game. Make no mistake, this is a low effort game though, and not something really worthy of money. Let's see.
To battle! Job done.
Gemetsu has an article here. Ark of Alchemist is coming to the Switch October 10th in Japan. So, a new game in a series, or is this a brand new series? I feel like I've heard of Ark of Alchemist, but maybe it's an anime that is getting a video game version. Maybe I've just heard about it. Yeah, it looks like a JRPG, and going on to the Switch, the graphics don't have to be that good, so of course they aren't. So unless this comes to PC, you know, just sorting yourself in that way and saying I'm only going to play JRPGs that come to PC, you're already down the well pretty nicely as far as filtering out most of the lesser graphically desirable games. Let's see. Do I want to do this?
Reporting for duty. To battle! For justice! Job done.
About to win, which is good because we're about to win anyways. Here we have a Chinese visual novel game called Lily of the Hollow. It's not tagged nudity, but one of these screenshots certainly has the back of a lady in a spa scene. Maybe that's all you get to see. Seems like it's set at some weird time frame where there's modern clothing and yet some kind of more traditional dresses. I guess it's a modern time frame. English is not supported though on this. It's $3.99 and it's Chinese only, so yeah, there's nothing you can really do about that. It's not making it to the fall list. Yeah, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that are making it to the fall list. So 8, 16, 24, like potentially 24 games every week get added to the fall list. So every year, potentially 1,000 games might make it to the fall list. That might be, unless my math is wrong. Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the numbers as it goes. The Humble Bundle still doesn't have any new bundles, so there's nothing to talk about there. And so I'm back on my Twitter feed and just going to investigate if there's any other news.
Reporting for duty. For justice. The battle. Job done.
Let's see. Whoa. So let's see. New game we can talk about on Monday. New game came out we can talk about on Monday on the Twitter feed.
I must ponder.
And I still don't feel like I'm missing out on any real news. Games Done Quick is still going on. Lots of videos are coming out on their YouTube channels. I assume Game Done Quick is actually still going on. It may actually have finished even a couple days ago, and they're just taking their sweet time to put them on YouTube. It's always fun to watch the speedruns to get more ideas of games to cover. But
Perplexing.
a lot of the games are the same games over and over again if you've been watching for 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row. Gamma Sutra has a quote here: Stadia head devs, publishers, and players aren't ready for a subscription-only platform, which is probably true. So we got the watch and learn done. So the only thing I have to do off screen is on the European account actually get the watch and learn. That was a challenge a friend we just got done, and it looks like probably the month will end and we'll be on rank 14. Looking at my Twitter feed, it doesn't look like there's any other news to mention. I'll probably spend the rest of the weekend doing some recordings of Zombie, but also taking it slightly easy to fiddling around with playing the mobile game Destiny Child and playing with the Steam Summer Sale. That's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Steam Summer Sale is still going on right now, so now would be the perfect time to friend me and gift me a game or gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good